Preparing for a service center interview tips and attire at Gallagher interview. You've reached Candy Mentor, and this video is for you. We'll walk through 20 key questions you're likely to face. For each question, you'll see a sample answer followed by the key points to cover. Subscribe, like, and share, and drop a topic request in the comments. Question 1. Tell me about yourself and why you want to work in the Gallagher Service Centre. I'd describe myself as someone who enjoys structured client support, solving problems, and getting details right. My experience has helped me handle requests professionally, prioritize work, and communicate clearly with different stakeholders. Gallagher appeals to me because it is a respected global insurance broker with a strong service culture. In a service center role, I can combine customer focus, administration discipline, and teamwork while learning the insurance industry properly. While answering, connect your background to client service, accuracy, insurance interest, teamwork, and Gallagher's reputation. Keep it structured. Present experience, relevant strengths, motivation for the role, and why this company. Question 2. What do you know about Gallagher and the type of work a service center supports? Gallagher is a global insurance brokerage, risk management, and consulting firm. The service center supports the wider business by making sure client and policy work is processed accurately and on time. That can include handling requests, updating systems, preparing documents, checking information, following compliance steps, and supporting brokers or account teams. I see the role as important because strong back-office service directly affects client experience, renewal quality, and trust in Gallagher. Make sure to cover Gallagher's role in insurance brokerage, risk management, and client service. Explain that service centers support brokers, clients' documentation, renewals, policy administration, queries, systems, and service-level deadlines. Question 3. How would you handle a high volume of service requests with tight deadlines? I would first separate urgent client-impacting items from routine tasks, then work from deadline, complexity, and risk. I'd keep a clear task list, update systems as I go, and avoid relying on memory. If volumes became unrealistic, I'd flag it early to my team leader with specifics, not excuses. The key is to stay calm, protect accuracy, communicate progress, and make sure no request disappears in the queue. In your answer, talk about prioritization, urgency versus importance, SLAs, clear communication, accurate tracking, asking for support early, and maintaining quality even when volume increases. Question 4. Give an example of when you delivered excellent customer service. In a previous role, a customer was frustrated because they had been passed between teams without a clear answer. I listened first, confirmed the issue, and explained exactly what I would check and when I would come back. I contacted the right internal team, tracked the response, and updated the customer before the deadline. They appreciated the ownership because I didn't just transfer the problem. I stayed accountable until it was resolved. Be sure to mention the situation, the customer need, your action, communication style, and result. Use a specific example showing empathy, ownership, follow-through, and a positive outcome. Question 5. How do you ensure accuracy when entering or checking client and policy information? Accuracy starts with respecting the impact of the data. I would check key fields such as names, dates, cover limits, addresses, reference numbers, and premium details against the source document before submitting anything. I like using checklists for repeatable processes and reviewing work after a short pause if the item is complex. If something doesn't match, I would query it rather than guess. In insurance service work, small errors can create big client problems. While answering, focus on double-checking source documents, using checklists, validating key fields, slowing down for high-risk items, following procedures, and understanding that errors can affect clients, compliance, and renewals. Question 6. Describe a time you worked as part of a team to meet a deadline. During a busy reporting period, our team had a large number of files to complete before a fixed deadline. We split the work by complexity, agreed check-in times, and used a tracker so everyone could see progress. I finished my allocation, then helped review simpler items for a colleague who was handling exceptions. We met the deadline because we communicated early, stayed organized, and treated the target as a team responsibility. Make sure to cover collaboration, role clarity, communication, flexibility, and shared accountability. Choose an example where you supported others, managed your tasks, and helped the team deliver on time. Question 7. How would you respond to an upset client or broker chasing an urgent request? I would stay calm and let them explain the issue without interrupting. Then I'd acknowledge the urgency, confirm the details, and check the request status before making promises. If I could resolve it quickly, I would do so and confirm completion. If it needed escalation, I'd explain the next step and provide a realistic update time. The aim is to reduce uncertainty, not overpromise, and show that Gallagher is taking ownership. In your answer, talk about staying calm, listening, acknowledging frustration, confirming facts, avoiding defensiveness, setting realistic timelines, escalating when needed, and following through with updates. Question 8. What does confidentiality mean in a Gallagher Service Centre role? Confidentiality means treating client and business information as protected at all times. In a service center, I may see policy details, premiums, claims notes, contact information, or internal communications. I would only access what I need for my role, follow system and data protection procedures, avoid sharing information inappropriately, and be careful with screens, emails, and attachments. Trust is central in insurance, so confidentiality is not optional, it is part of professional conduct. Be sure to mention client data, policy documents, financial details, claims information, internal systems, data protection rules, need-to-know access, secure handling, and never discussing sensitive matters casually. Question 9. How comfortable are you using systems, spreadsheets, and workflow tools? I'm comfortable working with systems because I understand they are central to service quality. I have used spreadsheets for tracking, filtering, checking data, and basic reporting, and I'm used to following process steps in online systems. When learning a new platform, I take notes, ask focused questions, and practice until the workflow is reliable. I also know system notes matter because colleagues depend on clear records to continue work smoothly. While answering, highlight practical system use, learning ability, accuracy, Excel basics, workflow cues, CRM or ticketing exposure, documentation discipline, and willingness to follow Gallagher's processes exactly. Question 10. Why is attention to detail especially important in insurance service work? In insurance, details define the protection a client receives. A wrong date, limit, name, endorsement, or coverage reference can cause confusion at renewal, billing issues, or problems when a claim arises. Attention to detail also protects Gallagher's reputation because brokers and clients rely on accurate service output. My approach is to slow down at control points, verify against source information, and never treat routine processing as unimportant. Make sure to connect detail orientation to policy accuracy, client protection, regulatory expectations, billing, renewals, claims outcomes, broker trust, and avoiding rework or reputational damage. Question 11. Tell me about a time you made a mistake at work. What did you do? I once sent a document with an outdated attachment because I was moving too quickly through a batch of emails. As soon as I noticed, I informed my supervisor, sent the corrected version, and clearly asked the recipient to disregard the earlier file. I then changed my process by checking attachment names and dates before sending. The lesson was simple. Speed is useful only when accuracy is protected. In your answer, show honesty, accountability, quick correction, communication, learning, and prevention. Avoid blaming others. Choose a manageable mistake and explain the control you added afterward. Question 12. How do you manage repetitive administrative tasks while staying engaged? I stay engaged by linking the task to the outcome. Even if a process is repetitive, it may support a broker's deadline, a client document, or an accurate policy record. I use checklists, work in focused blocks, and set small completion targets while keeping quality checks in place. I also look for patterns, such as recurring errors or unclear instructions, because improving a routine process can save time for the whole team. Be sure to mention consistency, process discipline, quality checks, understanding business impact, setting mini targets, rotating focus where possible, and treating routine tasks as client critical rather than boring. Question 13. How would you prioritize if two brokers both say their request is urgent? I would not decide only based on who is louder. I'd compare the actual urgency, deadline, client impact, renewal timing, compliance risk, and whether either request blocks another team. If the priority is still unclear, I'd ask my team leader for direction and explain the facts. I would also update both brokers with realistic timelines. That way the decision is fair, business-based, and visible rather than reactive. While answering, focus on objective prioritization, client impact, regulatory deadline, renewal date, SLA, financial consequence, manager guidance, transparent communication, and avoiding emotional or first-come-only decisions. Question 14. What does professionalism look like in a service center environment? Professionalism is shown through small habits repeated every day. It means being on time, communicating respectfully, documenting work clearly, meeting deadlines, protecting confidential information, and following processes even when nobody is watching. It also means taking ownership when something goes wrong and supporting colleagues during busy periods. In a service center, professionalism matters because internal teams and external clients experience the quality of the business through our responsiveness and accuracy. Make sure to cover punctuality, respectful communication, reliable follow-through, accurate work, appropriate tone, confidentiality, teamwork, clean documentation, ownership, and presenting yourself in line with Gallagher's client-focused culture. Question 15. How do you handle feedback from a manager or quality reviewer? I see feedback as part of getting better, especially in a process-driven role. If a manager or quality reviewer points out an issue, I would listen first, ask clarifying questions, and correct the work promptly. I'd also note the feedback so I don't repeat the same mistake. Quality review is valuable because it protects clients, improves consistency, and helps me build confidence in Gallagher's standards. In your answer, talk about being coachable, listening without defensiveness, clarifying expectations, applying corrections quickly, tracking recurring feedback, and seeing quality review as development rather than criticism. Question 16. What would you do if you received a request but the instructions were unclear? I would avoid guessing, especially if the request affects policy data, client documents, or deadlines. First, I'd check the procedure notes and any previous examples. If it was still unclear, I'd ask the requester or my team leader specific questions, not broad ones. Once clarified, I would document the instruction or update the workflow notes. That prevents rework and helps the next person handle a similar case more efficiently. Be sure to mention not guessing, checking procedures, reviewing prior examples, asking precise questions, confirming assumptions in writing, and escalating if ambiguity could affect client, compliance, or financial outcomes. Question 17. How would you prepare for a Gallagher Service Centre interview? I would prepare in 3 areas: company, role, and evidence. For Gallagher, I'd understand its insurance brokerage and risk management business, plus its focus on client service. For the role, I'd study the job description and identify the key skills: accuracy, communication, teamwork, systems, and prioritization. Then I'd prepare star examples for customer service, deadlines, mistakes, and teamwork. I'd also plan smart questions and dress in a polished, business-appropriate way. While answering, include researching Gallagher, understanding insurance brokerage basics, reviewing the job description, preparing star examples, practicing service scenarios, planning questions, checking travel or technology, and dressing professionally. Question 18. What questions would you ask the interviewer at the end? I would ask questions that show I'm thinking about performance and fit. 4. Make sure to ask thoughtful questions about training, team structure, service metrics, success in the first months, systems used, career progression, and Gallagher's culture. Avoid salary-only or easily searchable questions. Question 19. Why should Gallagher hire you for this service center role? Gallagher should hire me because I bring the core habits this role needs: accuracy, ownership, calm communication, and a strong service mindset. I'm comfortable with structured processes and systems, but I also understand the human side of service when someone needs a clear answer quickly. I'm keen to learn the insurance industry and contribute to a team where reliability matters. I would aim to become someone colleagues trust with important work. In your answer, summarize your strongest fit: client service mindset, accuracy, reliability, systems confidence, teamwork, willingness to learn insurance, and ability to stay calm under pressure. Keep it concise and confident. Question 20. What should you wear to a Gallagher Service Centre interview, and why does attire matter? I would dress smartly and professionally, because first impressions matter in a client-focused financial services environment. For men, that usually means a suit or blazer with a shirt, formal trousers, and polished shoes. For women, a blazer with tailored trousers, a skirt, or a professional dress works well. Color should be conservative and grooming neat. The goal is not to look flashy, it is to show judgment, respect, and readiness for a professional workplace. Be sure to recommend business professional or smart business attire, neat grooming, conservative colors, polished shoes, minimal distractions, and adapting slightly to location. Explain that attire signals judgment and respect. If you are still with us, congratulations. You are much ahead of the rest and serious about preparing for your interview. We hope we were able to add value to your preparation and create some helpful content. Do not forget to like and share this video. Your small act can do great things for us.